Hey everyone! I am so excited to be speaking with you guys today about the most important part of my life, which is my relationship with Jesus and my faith. I was raised in a Christian household. My parents were both raised in the Roman Catholic tradition. I am part of the Reformed Church, which is part of the Protestant branch of Christianity. And I have been going to my church since I was practically a baby. My parents were both going to church with their friends. They parked. They soon realized that they were not at their friend's church. They went to the wrong church. So that's how they found my church, and they ended up loving it. So that's the story of how my family ended up where we are today. My father served as a deacon for a few years, and my mom is part of the missions committee. I have been involved with the missions team, Kingdom Kids, which is like the Sunday school program for elementary school students. So I volunteered with that in the past. I also have been serving on the tech team for worship. I've basically just had the joy of the Lord within me since I was a little girl from a very young age. I think, like growing up, going to church on Sundays gave me this sense that I had this foundation, and at some point it was going to be up to me to decide if that's what I wanted to pursue and make it something of my own for the faith, rather than just like, all my parents forced me to go to church. Being in a relationship with God is the willingness to live with a greater purpose. What a gift it was to recognize that from a young age and just keep continuously pursuing that relationship with Jesus, because He is everything. This was the moment where I really just was attracted to accepting Jesus into my heart and just living for Him. It was around the time when I was preparing to receive my first Holy Communion. In Kingdom Kids, the Sunday school that I was part of when I was little, there's this tradition where students that are preparing to receive their first Holy Communion get a Bible. So this is the Bible that I got when I was in 3rd grade, I think. Looking back and opening to this note from my parents, it just like brought tears to my eyes. Even that day, I remember crying because I was so happy. Dear Sarah, remember that God is always your forever friend. Love always, Mommy, Daddy. I just remember being really excited about, like taking this step in the faith. Growing up, I was more on the quiet side, very shy, especially when I was in elementary school. By the time I graduated 5th grade, my teacher that I had learned that I was going to be moving to Catholic school. She knew that this change would be really good for me. I started out in a smaller Catholic school during my middle school years, and then in high school I moved to a bigger school. I began to see that this transition really helped me come out of my shell and allowed me to grow in my faith in an academic setting, because that's what I wanted. This showed me that it is possible to apply your faith into your own daily life. These schools really helped me to do that and really challenged me to grow in my faith. I'm really grateful for all the teachers that I had during my middle school and high school years. I was around people that also share in the same passion for Jesus and the faith, whether that was my teachers or other students and my friends. Being in Catholic school was definitely the best decision I made. Through my gifts and talents, I discovered my key values, which I call my core 3, that are a vital part in my relationship with Jesus. I am a prayer warrior. I love prayer. I love praying for people. Prayer is the most important part of my relationship with Jesus. I find peace when I take the time to pause and be with Jesus in prayer. There are days when I go without prayer. As a result of that determines my day. My day can't really run without spending that time with Jesus, and it just seems like kind of an off day. Prayer is like my foundation. Prayer is super powerful. It does amazing things because God is behind it, and although He might not always answer our prayers in the way that we want Him to, He is still working. It doesn't mean that He's not working, because He never stops fighting for us. He will always be for us, never against us. I have seen how prayer is powerful in my life personally. In 2009, my father had a heart attack. His chances of surviving were 50%. Through the power of prayer, through our family, friends, people that we know, and God, most importantly, He is still with us today. Fast forward 10 years later, in 2019, he had his first big episode since his heart attack, where in the shock, the defibrillator goes off when your heart stops, and then it restarts the heart. So that's what it's supposed to do, the pacemaker. He had a few more episodes from them, so it was 6 months apart. The most recent one was in March of this year, and we found out that the option for a heart transplant was a possibility down the road. This whole experience just really strengthened my prayer life and spending time with Jesus, and especially just changed my perception on the power of prayer, because so many just awesome things have happened. I remember reaching out to him, just texting him back and forth, and one night I just felt really called to really just check in and see where his heart was spiritually. It was the night before he had a very intense procedure on the heart. I felt led to just send him a prayer that I just typed off the top of my head, just spur of the moment. He was just so honest and vulnerable about what he was feeling, sharing his frustrations and the discouragements. And I just think prayer is so powerful in that way of just you're in the middle of a trial and you're thinking about that person, and the Spirit just prompts you to pray with them, or pray for them, or just reach out. And that is just no one else does that but God. I'm really grateful for this gift that He gave me of prayer and just being intentional with people, and just giving me the gifts to just check in and just offer up their prayers to Him. My dad is doing well. He, thanks be to God, has not had any hospital trips during this crazy time of the pandemic and everything. He's just always on the move, and it's definitely been a struggle for him during this past year to not be able to go places without relying on me or my mom to be his chauffeur. There is good. There still is good. Always is. Even in the midst of a storm or a journey. His journey through heart failure. Before going off to college, I knew that I wanted to live with someone that was also Christian and would also be there to encourage me and each other to grow in our own faith and relationship with Jesus. By the time move-in day came around, I was just filled with such a peace, and that was when I first met Renania. She is so full of life and literally the biggest BTS superfan I know. She is super funny, super cool, and all about encouraging people and just spreading the love of Jesus wherever she is. It was always so humbling for me to see the way that she would just live out her faith and be bold about it, whether it was sharing with people or just simply through her actions. That really resembles the mercy and love that Christ has towards us. Honestly, Renania is the friend that everyone needs to have in their life. Renania and I had so much fun together living under the same roof, and we would always find ways to have fun, whether it was on campus, doing some exploring on the grounds, or our little city trips on the weekends or on Fridays. Renania would always take me to these really cool places throughout the city. We also would go to Hillsong Church near Penn Station, and we would always just go out to the diner or somewhere to grab lunch. Renania and I have been through a lot together during our first year of college. Whether it was dealing with homesickness between the two of us and always going home on the weekends, or just being there to encourage one another and have just a girls' night, just chilling out after a long day of school. Always a good time, and she always just made college feel like home, even though sometimes it was hard for the two of us. By God's grace and through our faith, that is what got us through our first year of college and finding each other and growing in friendship. Without Renania crossing my path, I really don't know what my first year of college would have been. I'm really blessed for this year, for growth and forming a sisterhood between the two of us and finding a lifelong friendship. No matter where we are, Renania, you are always my dorm sister. Alright, y'all. I am so passionate about missions. I love serving people. Okay, this is my favorite part of my journey with Jesus and where it has brought me to finding my servant's heart. When I was in 7th grade, I was sitting at church one morning and my pastor announced a missions trip to Ecuador, and I remember just turning to my mom immediately and being like, Mom, we have to go on this trip. That sounds so cool. And I just remember being so excited and my jaw dropping. What? Ecuador, that's so cool. I want to go. Without hesitation, my mother was like, okay, we'll look into it, we'll see. And if it's possible, then we can go. Fast forward to my spring break of that year, and I was going to Ecuador on my first missions trip. I was 12 years old at the time. We serve with this orphanage in Ecuador, and it is so amazing. It's literally my favorite place ever. And we serve children that have severe special needs and normal needs from newborn to age 21. And it is just so amazing to meet the caregivers or the tias. They just treat every single child as if they were their own. This trip really just challenged me to step out of my comfort zone. And I just remember coming home with such a full heart and being just so grateful for everything, because we just take so many things for granted here back in the States. These people live simple lives, and yet they still have so much joy, and they're so thankful for every ounce of blessings that they get. These people are satisfied with what they have, and they are just living every single day of their life. That is the witness and example that we should follow and live by. Ever since that trip, God has brought me all across the country, 3 times back to Ecuador, and also 1 additional international trip to Peru with my high school. For the longest time, as I'm sure many of us have, when we think of missionary or missions, we automatically think of going someplace far away, like internationally, which, you know, is great. If you have the opportunity to, like, awesome, praise God for that. With that thinking, we just forget that even in our own communities, like, you can still serve. Speaking of serving in the community, I am also involved with an organization called Lighthouse Mission. If you're from the Long Island area, go check them out. They are such an awesome organization and do such great work. I served as a volunteer with Mission Kids, which is the youth organization for students in grades kindergarten through 5th grade. And these kids come from shelters and also the surrounding area in Bellport and other towns. And it's kind of like Vacation Bible School, but it's a little different in that, you know, it's really about sharing the gospel with these kids and also having fun, and also they get a free meal. They meet a few times during the month, the 1st and 3rd Saturdays throughout the school year. It was just such an amazing opportunity to be able to serve in that way during my high school years. I helped out interacting with the kids, and then I was also on the lunch crew with some great people, and it was just a really fun experience, and I really do miss volunteering. I have been working at an assisted living for about a little over a year now, and I serve as waitstaff, and I am helping the residents in the dementia unit. There have been so many moments throughout this year where God revealed so much of Himself to me with how He's working, just simply appreciating, you know, the sanctity of life. I love working with the elderly. They're amazing, especially these residents in the dementia unit. I'm learning so much from them, and they have so much to give to this world. It's always such a joy for me at the end of the week where I get to spend time with them. Being able to, for, you know, the ministry of presence, me and like my coworkers serve this mission where young people really attract like the elderly because they want to know that they're heard, they're seen, they're loved. It's just something about us that young people have. We have this life within us and this joy about life. I think that could really rekindle some joy and hope within them. I just love like being able to really make time for them and just really give them the attention and the love that they deserve. It makes me appreciate the little moments in life too. Like, for example, one of the residents, she is always seen sitting at the table coloring in like one of the coloring sheets, and she's actually given some of them to me. So I actually have 2 of them taped on my wall by my desk, and I remembered those were my first 2 that I received from her, and it was on my first work anniversary back in June, and it was just such an amazing little gift, so cute. Without me even realizing it, I have an effect on these people during their challenging times in their life right now. They feel loved, and they see this light shining within them that like yeah, I am valued, I am special, and I am respected. I just wanted to give a quick little shout out to my Saturday crew. You know who you are. I have such appreciation and respect for each and every one of you. You guys are some of the most incredible and hardworking people I know. You guys have taught me so much about love and friendship, and it's just such a blessing to be able to witness, you know, like the small acts of kindness. Everybody's a family in this kitchen, and I just love that so much about this job, and I'm just so blessed to work with such amazing and loving people that are just so full of life. Through it all, we all just band together and stay strong and continue to shine our lights to the residents. So that's my little word of encouragement to you guys. Keep the faith, keep shining the light, and spreading the love, because you guys do that every single day, and it's always just such a joy to be a part of it and get to witness it every week. Our mission field is not, I repeat, is not limited. Wherever we are, the workplace, school, wherever, that is your opportunity to be a missionary and serve and spread God's love. Each of us have gifts, each of us have talents, and we have the opportunity to use them in any capacity, in any way possible, to glorify God. Are we willing to accept God's call to serve His beloved? I love evangelism. Throughout high school, my campus minister would always have this quote at the end of every single email, and it always just stuck with me. Preach the gospel always, use words when necessary. I think that really just sums up what evangelism is. I definitely grew more in my faith with evangelism and being a witness to the faith throughout my years in high school. Throughout my 4 years there, I was challenged to grow deeper in my faith and my relationship with Jesus. I'm just really blessed for every single opportunity that I had. In my sophomore year of high school, I started this little project that I felt was on my heart to really connect on a more personal and intentional level with the people that I care about through faith. I was on my way to school one morning and just really praying about how could I reach the important people in my life in a deeper personal way if I can't see them physically because of how busy our schedules are. I usually get Instagram notifications from K-Love Radio with their encouraging word. Encouraging word is just a daily Bible verse that the radio station sends out, and you can get it in your email, or if you follow them on social media, that's where they'll post it. And I was like, maybe I could use this in a way to encourage my friends and the people that I care about to kickstart their week, give them some hope. From there, I started doing post-its, and I would do this once a week. I'd write out the verses, choose one from the very beginning of the week, and I would always pray about what verse I would choose. How is this going to offer some hope and encouragement in this person's life at this particular time, whatever they're going through? If I couldn't see the person physically in real time, I came up with faith text, so everybody would get the same verse for that week. I did it for 3 years in my high school career, and I found joy through it because originally I saw it as just reaching out to my friends. In the long run, it also helped me and inspired my own faith too, and just encouraging and challenging myself to pray more and just really think about what these verses are doing and how God is speaking in these people's lives, including mine. I continued the project when I was away for my first year of college, but what I did differently instead of post-its was bringing a little dry erase board and had it on the side of my bed, and it was just awesome to have that visual to really see the verse, and that would be the first thing I would wake up to in the morning. It has been a really long time since I sent out faith texts. Good news, guys, I am restarting it very, very soon as of this coming week ahead. So if you are interested in receiving a weekly word or a little message of encouragement, feel free to leave a comment below or reach out to me through my social media, or if you have my number, just shoot me a text and I will definitely get you on board. During the summer before my senior year of high school, I attended the first annual Camp Quo Vadis hosted by the Diocese of Rockville Center. Camp Quo Vadis is a camp for high school students, and Quo Vadis means where are you going? So this is speaking about vocations. We meet a lot of guest speakers who are priests, religious sisters, people that are single, married, dating, and it was just a really cool experience to learn more about what vocations are and ultimately what God is calling each of us to do for our lives. At first, I definitely had some anxiety about whether I should go or not, because I just had like this thought in the back of my head that I was probably gonna be the only Protestant camper there out of everybody else. Throughout the middle of my camp experience, I saw like this moment as a sign from God to like really appreciate my faith more, and that it really goes a long way to like speak to people's hearts and like touch people's lives. So this one day at camp, Bishop Barris, who is the bishop of the diocese, he came to celebrate Mass, and he spent time with like the campers like throughout the day during free time. I was with one of my friends and like we were talking to him and everything, and of course he asked like every single person like, what parish are you from? And I mentioned that I'm Protestant, I go to a Protestant church, and he was like, wow, that's so awesome. And I was telling him all about like my experiences and what I do at my church and stuff. So we celebrated Mass, speaking about how young people are super important with, you know, like leading others into the church. He mentioned invite a Protestant friend to Mass. And I remember like smiling at the director of the camp at the time. We both kind of looked at each other like, oh my gosh, like, wow, that's so cool. Later that night, I just had like, there were like these people coming to me, like priests, whoever it was. Oh, so you're like the person that like had the big news with the bishop, right? And I was like, what? Like in my head, I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh, all I said was just that I was Protestant. And they were like, that is so cool, like what? Because of this news, Father Joe, who was the former director of the camp, he comes up to me and he's like, All-Star alert, like Camp All-Star, so that was like my nickname. I was next to a counselor, and when the three of us were talking, she was like, oh wow, that's so cool, like 2 of my campers are Lutherans. That just like really hit me, like whoa, like I'm not alone in this, and that there's people that share that same commonality of growing closer to Jesus no matter what faith. Seeing your faith is what is attractive to people that aren't familiar with that, and they want to grow deeper into that relationship or that joy that we have as Christians, and that is Jesus being our identity. We all just get so caught up with like finding the right words to like speak about our faith. In reality, it's really seen throughout our actions and how we really just like live up to what Christ calls us to be. I saw a post on Instagram earlier this week that really resonated with me and had me reflecting on what the meaning or like definition of a testimony really is. Surround yourself with people that build you up and encourage you to live out God's plans for your life. I was thinking about how when I wake up in the morning or just whenever I'm laying down in my bed, I am greeted by my photo wall. All the people on my wall, that's not everybody, that's part of my testimony and my journey. There's way more people. But what I have up there is just a reminder that these are people that are with me along for the journey, that also are pursuing life with Jesus and just this amazing adventure with him despite the ups and downs. But more so, they too see that life with Christ is an adventure. Yeah, I'm talking about all these different points in my life, and yeah, I think it's definitely contributed to my journey with Jesus and everything. But what I personally believe is that your testimony isn't limited to just one specific moment in your life. Your testimony is every single day that you're living out with Jesus. I wanted to close with a little word of encouragement for everyone, non-believers, believers, whoever you are. Our yes to a relationship with Jesus changes everything. Number 1, life with Christ is an adventure. Number 2, it is the choice to live with a greater purpose, meaning being in the world but not of it. And finally, number 3, saying yes to Jesus means surrendering your heart and life to him. And I'm telling you, it is the best decision anyone can ever make in this life. The only question that I really have for anyone that doesn't have a foundation or doesn't believe in Jesus is, if Jesus isn't part of your life, who or what is your living hope? It is never too late to turn your life around. I know some of you are watching this probably like, Sarah, you don't know my story. You probably don't even know who I am, where I've been, what I've done, whatever. Regardless of what happens, Jesus is here for you. He always is. And he still loves you. No matter how many times you just don't want to hear it. You're just like, okay, I've heard it so many times, countless times, whatever. It's not going to do anything. Yes, it is. It is going to change your life. If you just let him in to your heart, to heal your brokenness, to heal your loneliness, whatever your struggles are, he will come in, his love will invade and change your life forever. Well, there you have it. Part of my journey with Jesus through life. Praise him for what he's doing through sharing my story in such a public way that I never really thought about doing before. I can tell you from experience that during this time of trying to plan out, produce it, this has really, stepped up my relationship with Jesus to a whole other level. The hope and prayer is that people will be inspired to follow Christ, or if they are already in the walk with Christ, keep continuing to pursue him in everything that you do. I just can't wait to see how lives are changed and hearts are touched by my story, and just how God speaks in mysterious and marvelous of ways. Ultimately, what I want anyone out there to know that's watching is how loved you are by Jesus, and you were created by the God of the universe that has such a love for you and the people that he created. You were created for a purpose. Your life matters. You were put here for a reason. God is going to use you to change the world. I don't know how, but I know it's going to be so beautiful and shine such a bright light for many, many people in this world that need hope. Continue to be a bright light in this world, and remember, most importantly, how much God loves you. And until the next video, keep shining your light and delight in God's goodness.